Hello, friends, and welcome to the Cinemondo podcast with Kathy and Burk. Mark is taking a little break right now.
Right this minute, he's taking a break.
Yeah, he's in the bathroom. No,
He was bathroom for a long time.
no, he'll be back. But you know, the intro to this is a little cabinet that I have in my house. That's sort of a cabinet of curiosities.
It is. It
That's
really
what I like
is.
to call my cabinet of curiosities.
Yes.
And it's just got a bunch of junk in it, like toys and things, but it also has some props from some movies that I've worked on and things that I made for movies. I used to make props for movies, and I worked on a film that I'm very proud of the thing I made for it. I made a few things for it, but it was I didn't. A good friend of mine was the prop master on it, and I helped him do some stuff. So I always say that I did just enough on this film to get a crew jacket.
Wow. See,
Just
but
enough.
crew jackets are that's sweet. I don't have any of those.
But the movie is Hellboy, and it was the original Hellboy, the Ron Perlman one, directed by Guillermo Del Toro. And there's a scene in it where Hellboy goes into a cemetery, and he's got this thing that you don't see very well in the film, and he's using it to find a talking corpse. So it became known as the corpse finder, like the corpse compass.
That's an accurate description. To find
Yeah.
corpses is a corpse finder.
But you don't see it very well in the film, unfortunately. And you hear it, and he uses it, and he looks around with it. But I have an exclusive clarification of that prop because I actually have it right here. I have it.
Let's see.
I have it. This is what Hellboy's holding in that scene, and he's got the lid open like this, and he says, "Find me a talker." But you wonder, you always wonder. Or people who are into props always kind of wondered what it looked like up close. Well, here is what it looked like
Ooh,
up
that's
close.
cool. Oh my god, that's cool. That's amazing. It looks like a big eye, sort of creepy.
Yeah, it has eyes around the
That's
outside.
beautiful. I love the antique box feel to it.
Yeah, it was supposed to look like it was thousands of years old,
Very cool.
But that's the corpse finder.
Nice. Corpse finder from Hellboy. Guillermo
You get
Del
a nice
Toro.
up close look at it.
A Del Toro approved prop.
Yeah, he actually has it. I evidently has it in his office. I think as
I would
another
love to
one.
see
I made
that.
several copies of it. So there's a few.
Wow, you made that. What's it made out of exactly?
I sculpted it out of Sculpey. The stuff that you can sculpt. And I just made one side,
Wow.
and I duplicated it to make all the sides.
Okay.
And for the top and the bottom, I made one wedge, one pie slice,
Okay.
and duplicated it so that
Very
it
cool.
continues. It's like a repeated
Wow,
pattern.
that's amazing.
And then
It doesn't look like it's duplicated. It looks all unique.
I made sure all the vines connected.
Yeah, that's very cool.
But it's all like pie slices. But then
Nice.
I cast that, and I cast it in resin, which most props are made out of resin, and painted it and made it look old, made it look like old
Wow.
metal, and this little thing is made out of clear resin, and I
Wow.
put a reflective thing underneath it so that it kind of
I don't know how you think of that stuff.
and
It's
I
amazing.
did some that had lights in it that sort of flickered like a fire, like there
That's
was a
really
fire
cool.
burning in there, some magical fire.
Nice. Oh my god, that's cool.
But resin
cool.
also made the if you watch Hellboy, there's gold these gold ingots.
And that's resin too?
It's made out of resin, but it
Wow.
was electroplated in genuine fake
That's
gold.
very cool. That's very cool.
And also something else that people get a kick out of. I didn't actually make this, but I got it. This is like from the film Hellboy's handgun. A giant made for a giant.
And what's that made out of?
That's made out of resin.
Because it looks light, even though it seems like it would be heavy.
Well, the interesting thing is they made some heavy ones for the film out of metal, so that when
Oh.
human characters would pick it up, they were like,
Yeah.
"Ugh." But then
That's funny.
Hellboy used the resin, and this was the one that was like in his holster the whole time, so it was kind of light. It's made out of like a hard plastic. If you
Right.
drop it, it won't break or anything.
That's super cool.
But you can sort of throw it around, and
That's
it's
great.
it's a nice close up
Ah,
prop.
that's crazy. That looks so real. God, that's
Yeah.
wild. Wild.
It is real in the world of films.
It's movie real. That's all that really matters.
And then a friend of mine who makes props made the amulet that Hellboy lowers into the coffin to raise the corpse.
The corpse that he found with the corpse finder.
Yes, this is what he brings the corpse to life with. This was made by a
Nice.
very talented prop maker named Tim
Very cool.
Harp.
Nice.
Very cool.
Movie magic, people.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I have a bunch more, but I'll stop right there.
I love that.
But anyway, speaking of Guillermo del Toro
We just happen to be talking about Guillermo del Toro.
and things that I have in my cabinet of curiosities over there, there's a show, coincidentally, called Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
I
And did you
know.
make anything in his cabinet? I wonder.
I actually, in this whole series, I actually made nothing for this show.
Damn it.
He
You're
didn't
kind of
call
out of
me.
the prop business now.
I don't
You've
do
moved
that
up
anymore.
the
Yeah.
chain.
He doesn't call me anymore. So
So, anything he does, I'm curious about. Be curious
Yeah.
to get it. Because he always kind of brings this sort of, not analog, but there's just sort of like tactical, like gothic
Tactile, you mean.
weirdness. I love that
touchable
he-
thing.
Yeah, that he
Yes.
brings. It never feels CGI or technical. It feels very lived in and very, very cuddly for some reason.
He has a classic approach. I mean, he appreciates the people like Ray Harryhausen and the old masters of genre film, I think.
Yeah.
And he really is a member of that club. He's made some films that I think are classic horror films.
Yeah.
And they're made in a classic style, and they have those elements to them
Yeah.
that the best ones have. They haunt you. They have a
Yeah.
haunting quality. And they have a even things that he's produced, things that he has touched, things like The Orphanage and just about it, Pan's Labyrinth, so many things that you could mention in Hellboy. There's a classic old school vibe to him. And apparently this new series called Cabinet of Curiosities, which was originally called 10 After Midnight or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Apparently from what I've heard, I have to admit, I've seen some stuff for this, but
Oh, I have not seen anything. This is all new to me.
it looks good. Should we watch a trailer?
Let's watch a trailer and then we'll talk about it. All right,
Okay.
you ready?
Yes.
Let's do it.
And
Okay.
action.
Picture your mind as a cabinet where you lock up your darkest thoughts and deepest fears. What would happen if you opened that cabinet for the world to see? We are about to find out.
This is one of those nightmare specials. The kind you never get to the bottom of.
What was this family doing here? The one on the walls.
Lot 36. Ain't you curious?
Whatever is in there is mine now.
I've seen a forest. A forest that takes the dead inside.
Joy, see my paintings.
Please, show me mercy.
Great people in there.
There's a
Cast.
void inside of me. Inside of everyone.
What is happening to me?
There's an endless abyss.
You are really harshing my mellow, man.
Here they come.
That body will be your coffin. I'll see you buried in it.
Welcome.
Welcome to my cabinet of curiosities.
Hickman's model.
Wow.
That's a Lovecraft story. I'm going to go out on a crazy limb here and make an assumption that Guillermo del Toro really likes the Night Gallery. And because this seems like a real homage to Rod Serling's Night Gallery, you know, where he would come into this art gallery and talk about the painting and then take us into a story that the painting represents.
Yes,
you know,
very much.
And this one is like he's probably going to show you an item from his cabinet of curiosities, and it's going to, you know, trigger a story. It looks really fun and crazy, and you know the idea of the Night Gallery was like that. And in fact, one of the stories that it references here at the end, Pickman's Model, was a Night Gallery episode. It was a Lovecraft adaptation of a Lovecraft H.P. Lovecraft story. So he's doing some classic stories. Looks like maybe some, you know, pulling from the greats.
And that is how you do a horror series. I cannot wait. That everything looked great in that. Like we just reviewed another series that didn't look so good, and so now I'm like, you know, and then when you see this, you're like, that's what we're talking about. Like everything looks so interesting, and oh my god, the cast, Jesus, it's like, I know, so many great people. Crispin Glover, what?
Yeah, sold, already there.
Oh my god, so good. So he also he's not even laying down on the director. So he's doing the first one called Lot 36.
Right.
And then there's also the second episode's Graveyard Rats. And that's directed by Vincino Natali. He did The Cube. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And he also did Splice. Right. And then there's also Anna Lily Amirpour, who did A Girl Who Walks Home Alone, which is one of the best vampire movies I've ever seen.
Right.
And we covered that in a podcast a while back when we were talking about, I think, Flanagan's favorite horror films. And we also have David Pryor. He's doing an episode called The Autopsy. He did The Empty Man, which is kind of a cool cult horror film that's out. Yeah. We also have Pickman's Model, which is number 5, and that is directed by Keith Thomas. He's directed The Vigil and Firestarter, the new Firestarter. Which
okay.
I'll forgive him for that. And there's also Catherine Hardwicke did Dreams in the Witch House, and so she did Lords of Dogtown. Twilight. She did one of the first Twilights. She did the movie 13. I mean, she's like great female director.
Wow.
Jennifer Kent did The Murmuring, and she did The Babadook.
Oh, Babadook
insanely
is
great
movie.
And then The Viewing, which is episode 8, is done by Pano Cosmatos.
Oh yeah.
And he directed Bandy.
Yeah.
Which is like, those are great horror directors. And what I love is he didn't just pick horror directors, he picked great horror directors, male and female, which is amazing.
And stylish directors, people that know how to make things look, you know, like so this. Good.
And they'll bring a unique take, you know, because their styles are all very different.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see that.
Very visionary directors.
Very.
Like Guillermo del Toro himself.
Exactly.
And I think he's being very generous about this too with the directors, like putting these people in this project, and I think he's letting them keep their rights to it or the ownership of their film or something like that.
I would love if he did like an ongoing series like this, like you said, like a Twilight Zone. Like every year around Halloween, we're going to get another great Guillermo del Toro series of Cabinet of Curiosities, and he's going to bring us more stories.
Yeah, like the Night Gallery. Twilight Zone too, but I think more like the Night Gallery. Twilight Zone was more of the sci-fi.
True.
Rod Serling sci-fi vibe, but the Night Gallery went full on into horror, and to me, Night Gallery is like the scariest thing that was ever on television. Some of those stories were just nightmarish,
especially for the time, hardcore.
Very 70s horror though.
To add to this, to get a little more insight into it, we also want to have us take a look at Burk. You found this cool little insight on his thinking behind the series. So it's a little mini interview, like a little behind the scenes
thing.
So let's take a look at that.
Let's mark that as well.
Okay, yes, let's do that.
All right.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
And action.
Love the sketches.
Yeah. It's production design.
Cabinet of Curiosities is a show that I've always wanted to make. In this anthology, we gave ownership of each episode to the directors.
Action.
Each of the episodes has a whole world. They present you with different delights. Some are savory, some are sweet. You get a surprise from each of the bites.
Get a surprise.
We
What?
wanted to create beautiful, practical creatures with all the
Nice.
artistry that goes into creating a great monster. We achieved some of the most remarkable images in the series. With Cabinet of Curiosities, what I'm trying to say is, look, the world is beautiful and horrible at exactly the same time.
I love that phrase, beautiful and horrible at the same time, because that's exactly what his movies are like. Like they're
Yeah.
beautiful, but then they're terrifying. Like he does that perfect fine line of making something beautiful and terrible at the same time.
Yeah. He always gets these
Wow.
really good,
So good.
creative people behind him too to do these things. There's
Who's gonna say no to him? Seriously, you'd have to
Yeah.
be an idiot.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of people that have done artwork for his films, and I love all of them. It's like he pulls in the great people. Just looking at the making of, like if you go to the making of Pan's Labyrinth, like there's books and you Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy, all the artists that design that stuff. Mike, Hellboy's based on a beautiful comic book by Mike Mignola that's just gorgeous already.
Yeah.
And then, brought in people like Wayne Barlow who did creature design and stuff.
Yeah.
It looks like maybe he is involved in this too. I'm not sure. I could
Stuff
be wrong.
looks beautiful.
But yeah, it's
It looks
great.
beautiful. Great idea.
designs.
Little mini movies by these great filmmakers. Like
Yeah.
just under the banner of Guillermo Del Toro. I mean, that's just like horror heaven to me right now. I'm looking at it going, oh my God, I cannot wait for this little sweet little surprise that I'm going to get out of this.
Did you see his art show thing that he had? It's kind of hard to describe it, but it was a collection of his. It was a huge collection of his collection of things, artwork, props, and things. There were a few things that I made in there, which was kind of cool. Yeah, there was about 5 or 6 things that I made that were in that thing, which were pretty cool to see.
That's
he
really
had
cool.
he had a bunch of these in there for some, the gold bars. And a few other little props that I made. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was kind of funny to be in there. And I actually saw somebody that I worked on the film with, and we went through there together, and he was like, "Oh, I made this." And I was like, "Oh, I made this."
He's like, "Oh, guess what I made?" He's like, "Yeah, I did too." He's like, "Oh.
Yeah, look at this one. This one, I made this too." We were, just a little quieter in here. But it was
trying to be subtle, cool about it.
Hey, everybody, I made this.
Look what I did. That's so funny. Well, this looks amazing. This comes out, I think, the end of October, right before Halloween, like the 25th, 27th, something like that.
I wonder if he timed it that way. Do you
I
think?
think it's on purpose, yeah.
Maybe so, yeah.
What could be a more perfect time for this? I mean, seriously, I cannot wait for this. Oh, my gosh,
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
Looks like fun.
Looks incredible.
Maybe
All
it'll
right.
bring me back to that feeling I used to get when I would watch the Night Gallery.
Yeah, that would be great.
And I
Seems
think,
like he would be a fan of that also.
I would bet you $10 billion that I don't have that he is a huge fan of the Night Gallery.
I mean, this would be a dream come true. Like, hey, let's do a horror series. I'm going to bring in all these horror film directors that I love, and we're going to do this great, classy, cool, in-depth horror anthology series, and it'll be amazing.
Yeah.
And that was what I would be doing.
That's the thing about, we were talking before about long form,
Yeah.
where you have a TV series that is 10 episodes, so it's basically a 10-hour
Yeah.
movie. But there's something to be said for short films too. One thing that I've always loved is 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I think 30 minutes is really good for a short story. And that's what makes the Twilight Zone episodes so powerful, is there's no filler in there. You've got 28, 25 minutes or whatever to tell a short, powerful story. I don't know what these are. These are probably hour-long anthology
I hope they're now. I want
stories.
more than that. I want more than 30 minutes in my little sweet surprise.
But for some reason, I think 30 minutes works really well for a
It
short
does work really
story.
well, but I really want these to be longer.
Yeah.
I really do.
They
And then,
probably
we
are.
can mention the cast in these too. We had, Murray F. Abraham. We had Crispin Glover, of course.
Yeah. Crispin
Andrew
Glover.
Lincoln from Walking Dead. Rupert Grint. from
Yep.
Harry Potter and the Servant, and he's been great in the Servant. Oh my god, it's
Yeah.
like, he's left Harry Potter way behind. Just Peter Weller, like lots of great actors in this. So, and Dan Stevens, I recognize him in a couple of those. That one at the end. Tim Blake Nelson, who was in
Tim
that.
Blake Nelson, yeah.
Yeah, he was in that Western.
Yeah.
So lots of great stuff. So very excited about this. Oh my gosh.
Looks like fun.
Looks so much fun. All right.
gonna
Great
watch it.
one. Burke found this one. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.